All nations are invited to sing the Lord's praises, for they have been called to hear the good news and worship the long-awaited Messiah the King with the gifts of their lives. We can bring the gifts of acceptance, respect, compassion, and love. On a Christian journey, may we seek the Lord, encounter Him, and offer Him the treasures of our lives. Welcome to the homily for the feast of the Epiphany of our Lord. The readings for the Epiphany of the Lord comes from Isaiah chapter 60, Ephesians chapter 3, Matthew chapter 2, 1 to 12. The Gospel passage from Matthew narrates the account of the magi, often referred to as a wise men or three kings, who traveled from east to pay homage to the newborn King Jesus Christ. This event is rich in symbolism and offers several layers of context, background that applies to our day-to-day life. The Gospel of Matthew was written primarily for a Jewish audience and presents Jesus as the fulfillment of the Old Testament prophecies. The visit of the Magi, Gentile astrologers or scholars, is significant as it demonstrates the universal nature of Christ's mission. They follow a star, a celestial sign indicating the birth of a king. Herod the Great, the reigning king, feels threatened by the news of another king's birth and deceitfully asks the Magi to inform him of the child's whereabouts under the guise of wanting to pay homage. The Magi warned in a dream, avoid Herod and return home by a different route. The three gifts they brought are gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and their names are Balthasar, Caspar, and Melchior, which was not mentioned in the Gospel. The motif of the Gospel revolves around the manifestation of Jesus as the fulfillment of the prophecies, the long-awaited Messiah, not only for the Jews but for all people. The Magi, representing the Gentile world, are led to recognize and worship the divine significance of Jesus' birth. From Isaiah chapter 60 evokes a vision of the glory of God shining like a great light over a dark world. God's light is so bright that all nations will be drawn to Him. Paul in Ephesians picks up the theme as he talks about his epiphany, that the Gentiles are also heirs to the kingdom of God, sharing in the promises given to the Jews. Matthew records the story of light that appeared suddenly in the sky to three magi. It isn't clear who these figures were. Many scholars think they were astrologers. Whether they were astrologers, kings, or just wise men, what they saw compelled them to go and find out what it meant. Like the Magi, may we also journey and be attentive, untiring, and courageous on the path to find the invisible God who was born among us, says Pope Francis. Let's apply the Gospel passage, Matthew, Isaiah, and Ephesians, and see how these readings and the Feast of Epiphany enables to live our Christian journey in our life. First, universal call to seek Christ. The Magi invites us to reflect on our own spiritual journey. Like the Magi, we are called to seek Christ earnestly, regardless of our background or status. May we be encouraged to actively seek and encounter Christ in our life. We are called to take Christ from our home, from our house, to the world, by actions, by examples. Recognizing Christ's presence, Magi recognized Jesus as king and offered him precious gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. The importance of recognizing Christ's presence in our life, offering a gift of love, time, talents, and resources in service to God and others. It begins at home. We celebrated the Holy Family. We celebrated the great feast of Nativity. Now, God so loved the world, He gave His only Son to show us how to love one another. Avoiding Herod's deceit. Herod's deceitful intention and the Magi's wisdom in avoiding him. May we have the discernment in recognizing deceitful influences that divert us from Christ's path, urging to stay true to our own faith. Epiphany. The wise men followed the star and found Christ, who is light from light. May we too find the Lord when our pilgrimage is ended. May we be guided by faith. Magi were guided by a star and divine intervention. May we trust in God's guidance, even when the path seems uncertain, and to follow the light of faith in our lives. Transformative encounters with Christ. Encountering Jesus transformed the Magi. They took a different route. May we reflect on how encounters with Christ can transform us and take a different route in our lives, leading to a change in priorities, actions, and relationship. And may we be challenged to allow Christ to transform our lives. I'm pretty sure many would have taken resolution for 2024. But to keep going needs discipline, persistence, trust in God. No one knows what is coming in the future. In this process, there can be 3 strategies for 2024 from the Magi we can learn: to listen, to discern, to journey in the light. The story of the Magi teaches us about seeking Christ, recognizing His presence, discerning deceitful influences, being guided by faith, and embracing the transformative encounters with Christ. It encourages us to live our lives in faithful pursuit of encountering and worshiping the King of Kings, Jesus Christ. Let's fix our eyes and hearts on our light, that we might bearers of that light to all those who walk in the darkness. May we actively seek God's light in our life, foster inclusivity and unity, respecting all. May we offer our gifts for God's service. May we practice discernment and faithfulness in our Christian journey. May we allow encounters with Christ to transform us. God of all, be our daily star that guides our lives as we search for your love. May we always follow your light of truth in all that we do, forever trusting, hoping, and believing in your word. Lift our eyes to the heavens so we too may follow your guiding star as we travel home to you. St. Augustine says, our hearts are restless until they find their rest in thee. Teresa of Avila, Christ is nobody now but yours. Each of us should give what we have decided in our heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. 2 Corinthians 9:11. St. Ignatius of Loyola, for God's greater glory. May we discern the wisdom in distinguishing God's will from deceitful influences. May we stay rooted in faith and discernment. John Paul II, do not be afraid to be saints of the new millennium. The universal call to salvation and importance of sharing God's love with all people calls for following the light of Christ. Mother Teresa, I'm a little pencil in the hand of a writing God. May we be encouraged to open to encounters with Jesus, emphasizing that encountering Christ brings transformation, renewal of our hearts and lives. Let's invoke the intercession of Mary Most Holy, star of pilgrim humankind throughout time. With the maternal help, may every person come to Christ's light of truth, and may the world advance along the path of justice and peace. And may she make us increasingly embrace the journey. May she make us journey and be attentive, untiring, and courageous on that path. As we journey through life, let's embrace the magi, seeking Christ diligently, offering our gifts, discerning wisely, sharing God's love universally, and allowing encounters with Christ to transform our lives. May we seek to live a deeper encounter with Christ, transforming us to be bearers of His light and love in the world. The wise men followed the star and found Christ who is light from light. May we too find the Lord when our pilgrimage is ended. May we see the star of Jesus along the way, that we might always seek the Lord, encounter Him, and offer Him the treasures of our lives. In words of Pope Francis, like the Magi, may we also journey and be attentive, untiring, and courageous in the path to find the visible God who was born among us. Faith in a pilgrimage towards God occurs above all in prayer. St. Augustine said once that prayer is ultimately nothing more than the realization and radicalization of our yearning for God. Instead of yearning, we could also translate the word as restlessness and say that prayer detaches from all false security, from being enclosed within material and visible realities, would give us restlessness for God, thus an openness to and concern for one another. Wishing that 3 wise men visit you and gift you with loads of love, peace, and happiness, and make your Epiphany a joyous celebration. Blessed Epiphany. Matthew chapter 2, 10-11. They were overjoyed at seeing the star, and on entering the house they saw the child with Mary's mother. They prostrated themselves and did Him homage. God bless.